The town of Aberdeen in New South Wales has a problem. There's a terrible smell around. Residents say it comes from a local tannery, a place where animal skins are made into leather. Making leather is a smelly business and the locals want the smell gone. Let's find out more about this smelly town.
It's not the scenery, it's the smell that has everyone talking. The Wolfertan Tannery has for years promised residents it'll clean up the smell and the site.
People still obviously want to live in Aberdeen and frankly Aberdeen is a very nice site for a town if it didn't smell.
Last year, the company was forced to clean out these effluent ponds after complaints from locals. The Department of Environment and Conservation fined Wolfertan $1,500 for offensive odours. But less than a year later, the smell is back and it's as bad as ever.
People here around the town say it just hangs in your mouth, you taste it for days after, that's about it. And you can never get used to it.
The main concerns at the moment are addressing the odour issues. That's clearly the issue which is giving community the most concerns. We've also got concerns about just general effluent management on the site.
The state government has recently placed new conditions on the company's licence. Wolfertan says it's prepared to spend more than $1 million to meet the new regulations.
Odour control is not an easy thing. It's not a buy-off-the-shelf piece of equipment. It needs to be designed and custom made for us.
Both the council and residents have complained that the government's been dragging its feet on this issue, but the government now insists it means business.
In terms of its odour control technology, I mean, it's a long way to go yet.
The company has some work to do to reach the standards that Australia are going to apply. I don't know where Australian standards necessarily fall relative to world standards.
The company argues it is making a real effort to fix the problems. Tom O'Connell believes the only solution left is to move the tannery.
It retards the town, devalues the town, and the result is we're not growing like our neighbour towns, Muswellbrook or Scone, at all, where there's like a big demand for development and that, and we're not getting it.
Mayor Barry Rose says if promises can't be kept, then closing the tannery is a real possibility.
Aberdeen, I think, has gone through a situation where it lost 400 odd jobs when the meatworks closed. The world didn't end. And if the worst case scenario evolved where the tannery was to close in 2 or 3 years' time and some 40 jobs were lost, well, that'd be a tragedy for the people who lost the jobs, but it may well come to that. I hope it doesn't, frankly, but it may well come to that.
Today's story comes from the town of Aberdeen in the Hunter Valley of New South Wales. It's about a tannery. A tannery is a place where animal skins are made into leather. The process is called tanning. Let's listen to a local talk about the town of Aberdeen.
People still obviously want to live in Aberdeen and frankly Aberdeen is a very nice site for a town if it didn't smell.
People want to live in Aberdeen. It's a nice site or location for a town. He says, frankly, Aberdeen is a nice site for a town if it didn't smell. Frankly is an adverb. It's used when you're being open and honest, often when you're saying something that might upset someone. It means in an open and honest way. So he's saying that the truth is it's a nice town, but it smells. Smells here means has a bad smell. There's a bad smell coming from the tannery. Listen to another local talk about the smell.
People here around the town say it just hangs in your mouth, you taste it for days after, that's about it. And you can never get used to it.
You can taste it for days. You can never get used to it. To get used to something means to become familiar with something, to not notice it anymore. The local people never stop noticing the smell. What does the tannery say about the smell?
Odour control is not an easy thing. It's not a buy-off-the-shelf piece of equipment. It needs to be designed and custom made for us.
Odour control is not an easy thing. Odour means smell, usually a bad smell. So to talk about something that smells bad, you can say there's a smell odour, stink, whiff, pong or stench. But whatever you call it, it's hard to get rid of. He says it's not a buy-off-the-shelf piece of equipment. He means you can't just go into a shop and buy something that will stop the smell. It needs to be designed and custom-made, made especially for them. And while the tannery is trying to find ways to stop the smell, some of the local people have another idea. They want the tannery to be closed and moved somewhere else.
It retards the town, devalues the town, and the result is we're not growing like our neighbour towns, Muswellbrook or Scone, at all, where there's like a big demand for development and that, and we're not getting it.
He says the tannery retards the town. Retards means slows the growth or development of something. He thinks the town isn't growing like it should because of the bad smell. He says it devalues the town. Devalues means lowers the value of something to make it worth less money. In his neighbour towns, or the towns surrounding his, there's a big demand for development. There are lots of people moving to the area, but they're not moving to Aberdeen because of the smell. So if the tannery owners can't stop the smell, they might have to move the business instead. And that's all for today. For another look at today's story, you can visit our English Bites website.